Peyton.
And I'm Suzanne Delta-Cariaga.
And tonight we're so excited to present, can you believe it, week 9. We are so excited about this week's class called Emotional IQ. So I'm going to set an intention for the rest of the series and tonight's class in particular. And, we do that every week. And while we're setting an intention for what we want to have happen in tonight's class, we're going to ask you to quietly do the same. What is it that you want to take away from tonight's class? Or is it that you just want to be open to hear what we have to share with you? Whatever it is, declare that now. And I just like to set my intention that we continue to build a sense of community for sharing and supporting one another while we begin to really focus in on processes and strategies this evening, which will support us in sustaining and building our emotional IQ. What's your intent tonight, Suzanne?
Mine is that we hear, because I know all of us are here to learn different things. Like we may know part of it, not know part of it. We need to be reminded of things. My intention is that each one of us hears what it is that we need to hear that's going to support us in really reaching our goals this year.
Awesome. That's really important. And we know that this has been a long series. We have given it our 100% all. It's taken a lot of time and energy and focus. And we were just saying that we are so happy that those of you that haven't been able to make it each and every time can listen to these recordings. Now we're going to talk about housekeeping. Suzanne?
So, as always, we'll be recording each meeting, but in consideration of any comments, we'll pause it, and then we'll re-record when we're, or restart the recording when we're, after we give our comments, or you guys give your comments. And as always, each recorded meeting will be available the following Monday or before on our closed Facebook group, 12 Weeks to Harnessing Your Energy in 2017, and will also be emailed to you. And obviously, the more you participate, which right now that's you, Yvette, since you're the only one on the call. The rest of them can't participate because they'll just be listening. Anyway, so take a moment to participate when we ask for participation, and also be conscious of the background noises, which you've already done, Yvette, in muting. Hit *6, and remember to unmute, though, when you want to speak. So,
awesome.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Okay. So let's talk about last week's exercises. The question is, were any of you, or did you, Yvette, were able to use any of the confidence building exercises? And you can certainly, thank you for the smile, say yes, no, I didn't have time, didn't get to it, but were you able to use any of the exercises? And if so, did you notice any improvement in your self-confidence? Let's see what she says. Maybe not. And on
that's okay.
Huh?
I said that's okay. We'll move on.
Yeah, the last one was about the use of guided meditation. If any of you who eventually listen to this audio, we hope that you were able to use some of the techniques and some of the processes, including the guided meditation. So let's move on to our tonight's topic, which is really interesting. Emotional IQ. What is it? What is emotional IQ? Well, emotional intelligence is the ability to identify and manage your own emotions and the emotions of others. It is generally said to include 3 skills: the ability to harness emotions and apply them to tasks like thinking and problem solving, the ability to manage emotions, which includes regulating your own emotions, and the ability of cheering up on other people.
So for most people, emotional intelligence is actually more important than IQ in attaining success in their lives and career. You probably all know that really intelligent person that just isn't that emotionally intelligent. Because as individuals, our success depends on our ability to read other people's signals and react to them appropriately. Therefore, each one of us must develop the mature emotional intelligence skills required to better understand, empathize, and negotiate with other people, particularly as the economy has become more global, and we're talking with people from all over the world. So your EQ is the level of your ability to understand other people, what motivates them, and how to work cooperatively with them. So there's 5 major categories of emotional intelligence skills that are recognized by researchers in this area, and we're going to go over those for you. So next slide, Wanda.
Interesting, right? Let's move the slide. Okay. So self-awareness. So self-awareness is one of those one of the 5 major categories of emotional intelligence. And we talk about self-awareness, we talk about the ability to recognize an emotion as it happens, not after it happens. And that's the key to your emotional IQ. Developing self-awareness requires tuning into your true feelings. If you evaluate your emotions, you can manage them. The major elements of self-awareness are emotional awareness, your ability to recognize your own emotions and their effects, and then self-confidence, sureness about your self-worth and capabilities. So let me give you an example that just happened today to my daughter. Her payroll check is automatically deposited overnight on the day that she gets paid. And so this morning she noticed it was over $200 short and had no idea, which was very upsetting to her. I just watched her regulate herself. At first she was like, what is that? Why would I? She's like, I can't even call anybody because it was at bank, it's a bank deposit and they're not even in the office yet. And as she worked her way through it, I could see her calming herself down, saying things like, hey, at this moment, everything is okay. I'm going to be able to take care of everything I need to take care of. When I make the phone call, I'm sure that, I'll find out what happened. So self-awareness. And then the next one is self-regulation.
Yeah, and just like you said, self-regulation. Oftentimes you have little control when you experience your emotions, just like Wanda's daughter. But you can have input, just like she did, on how long you'll allow that emotion to last by using a number of techniques to alleviate negative emotions. You want to alleviate anger, which I'm sure she was angry, anxiety, or depression. A few of these techniques include recasting the situation in a more positive light, which it sounds like she did, taking a long walk, or meditating, or even prayer. So self-regulation involves self-control in the areas of trustworthiness, maintaining standards of honesty and integrity, conscientiousness, taking responsibility for your own performance, adaptability, which is one of the things that Wanda's daughter exhibited, handling change with flexibility, and being innovative, being open to new ideas is key as well.
So what she did was the taking a long walk part, she went straight to the gym. She said, Mom, I was so pissed off, and she said I didn't even want to go to the gym because I said if I get to the gym and I get on the and I start exercising, I think that's just all I'm going to think about. But she said, you know what happened? As soon as I got to the gym, I put my music on with with these fiendish beats in the music that she's listening to, whatever it is that she's listening to. And she said, and immediately the music took me away, took me to another place completely. And she said, I forgot about it. I was totally distracted. And for the time that I was on doing my workout and on the weight building machines or whatever it is that she's doing, she said she was totally distracted. And when she finished, she felt just amazingly better. She felt this huge shift. So there it is. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one is motivation. You know, to motivate yourself for any achievement, of course, requires clear goals and positive attitudes. So although you may have a predisposition to either a positive or a negative attitude, you can, with effort and practice, learn to think more positively. So if you catch yourself in a negative thought as they occur, you can reframe them in a more positive term, which will help you achieve your goals. I often say to my clients, you do not have to free fall into negativity because something has occurred in your life or in your thinking. You can catch yourself on the way down at any time and pull yourself back up by shifting your thoughts. So motivation is made up of, and we've talked about this, A, constant striving to improve or to meet a standard of excellence. B, commitment, aligning with the goals of the group or organization. C, initiative, readying yourself to act on opportunities. And D, optimism, pursuing goals persistently despite obstacles and setbacks.
And then the last characteristic is empathy, which is the ability to recognize how other people are feeling. And that can be really successful in life, with your spouse, your kids, etc., and also in your career. The more skillful you are at discerning the feelings behind other signals, the better you can control the signals you send them. An empathetic person excels at a service orientation and anticipating, recognizing, and meeting clients' needs, and also sensing what others need to progress and bolstering their abilities.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so for example, when you're talking to your spouse, your kids, and they're saying something, and you think it's negative, and maybe they're feeling badly, you have to have empathy for them instead of being angry. So one of the things it's saying here too is leveraging diversity, which is cultivating opportunities through diverse people, being politically aware, reading a group's emotional currents and power relationships. Now this would be at work, seeing who the power person is, the leader, and what the emotional currents are, and then understanding others in the workplace as well as at home, discerning the feelings behind the needs and wants of others is really another important skill.
That empathy, a lot of my, and I too, in real estate, we are so, sometimes we are, I want to say, insensitive to our clients' thoughts or needs or fears, because we've been through this a 1,000 times, and we know how it's going to turn out, but they don't. And I think that the best agents are those who can be empathetic, who can stop and put themselves in their client's shoes. Don't you, Suzanne?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You have to have empathy in real estate. Because think about, especially in real estate, think about what a process it is buying a home. Those of you that have bought a home on your own, or, if you're not a realtor, you know how emotional it is. And having empathy, I think, in any kind of sales job is really important.
And then social skills. The development of good interpersonal skills is tantamount to success in our life and our career, isn't it? In today's always connected world, everyone has immediate access to technical knowledge. So people skills are even more important now, because you have to really possess that emotional IQ to better understand, empathize, and negotiate with others in this global economy in which we live. And among those useful skills are influence, having effective persuasion tactics, communication, sending clear messages, I notice with Trump, sometimes he doesn't send clear messages. And when you're dealing with this global community that we live in, other countries, other thoughts, it's really important to do that and to be consistent. Leadership, inspiring and guiding groups and people. Being a change catalyst, initiating or managing change. And then conflict management. Oh, that's a big one. Understanding and negotiating and resolving disagreements. You find that a lot with your children. And then building bonds, nurturing instrumental relationships, nurturing them. And then 7, collaboration and cooperation, working with others towards shared goals. And then number 8, team capabilities, creating group synergy in pursuing collective goals. And this is important. I would, in my own business, when and other entrepreneurs who are maybe not in sales, but all of these elements are important in building a good, an effective communication in our companies.
Totally true. Totally. So what about in the workplace? Most of this is about the workplace, and we're going to continue to talk about how does emotional intelligence factor in at work. Well, when it comes to that oh so elusive concept of workplace happiness, and sometimes we're not that happy at work, we too easily and too often let it get in our way. 9 times out of 10, it's probably something related to emotional intelligence when we're not happy at work. Feelings are great, but in no way are we trying to stifle them or push them deep down where they can fester. There's nothing worse than festering emotions. But how do you manage your emotions at work? How do you manage feelings like anger, when you're angry at somebody in your office, jealousy, somebody gets promoted over you, feeling slighted, feeling misunderstood, feeling underappreciated, like nobody appreciates what you do, resentment, or hopelessness, or feeling insecure in your job, like you might get fired at any day, fear, anxiety, or feeling isolated, or powerlessness, etc., can all make a difference in your career and work life.
Yeah. The next, we're going to talk about emotional literacy. What is that? So, of course, we all feel at least some of these feelings, some of these emotions at one time or another. But the trick is, how do we handle them in the workplace? What can we do to consciously and intentionally manage those feelings so the real us can shine through? And how can any of us achieve true emotional literacy in our work life when so many things we feel are triggered by old hurts and experiences?
And that's so true in our work life, because we can have had an experience in a previous job and feel like that might happen to us again in our next job. Think about that. Yeah. Just like we do with relationships, the same thing can happen in a work environment as well. So now we're going to talk about how do we put our emotional intelligence to work to our advantage. Some things that we might want to consider are, first and foremost, do not give up your power. Each and every one of us feels powerless at some time. We have to agree to that, sometime or another. And all too often, such feelings arise in the workplace. Your boss is telling you something, someone else is telling you something else. It's really important for you to know you're not alone in this, that everybody feels this from time to time. But you have choices. Even if your choice is to stay and do what you're being asked, what's being asked of you for whatever reason, as long as it's legal, of course. Even if it means being nice to a boss who drives you crazy, or being pleasant to a coworker who you think is an idiot, or staying in a job you don't love. Sometimes there are good reasons to do so, and sometimes not. But it's important for you to recognize that you are making that choice consciously and intentionally. You gain nothing from feeling as if you're a victim to your circumstances. This may seem like a small point, but if we realize we are choosing to do something, even if it's staying in a job, in a marriage, whatever, we don't love, we release some of the powerlessness of feeling trapped.
Isn't that interesting that even if we stay and it's our choice, it releases that powerlessness.
If we realize it's our choice, yeah.
Yes.
Because when you feel trapped, your power shrinks, as does your ability to see solutions in front of your eyes. You become blind. Even if you're staying in a job because your family depends on you, you need the money, you need to bring home the paycheck, give yourself credit for making that choice, or for the strength it takes to do that. Rather than feeling like a victim, you can start to think about ways to use your power to get yourself into a better situation, either with your current company or going to another company. But you're not going to get anywhere if you feel powerless and you can't affect your own fate.
Yeah, there's something that happens to us when we feel powerless. We're kind of like a deer in headlights. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't know what to do. We feel powerless. We don't think we can move forward. We don't feel like we can stay. This brings to mind the comment that Sarah Palin made about the women in the Fox that got caught up in the Fox sexual harassment ring, and I think something was said that they shouldn't have stayed for a paycheck. But I think based on what we just, the thoughts and the consideration of what we just said, was that if you make that decision and it's your decision, make it from a clear head, make it for your own reasons. Because if you do from that place, then from the clarity of that place, you'll have the ability to even make a better decision in your movement. Mm-hmm. I hope that makes sense. That's the way that I see it anyway.
No, just talking about it right now, I can feel the difference in when you choose. Even if you're in a job you don't like, or even a marriage or whatever you don't like, if you realize that you're making that choice, then you're not giving away your power. But then all of a sudden you'll start to think, well, now what am I going to do about it? You'll be able to see
I made this decision
until
you get to the point where that decision doesn't work for you anymore. I made this decision to stay, but now the situation is so untenable, so unpleasant. Now I'm going to have the power to make another decision. So in both instances, it's from your place of power, right? You understand what I'm saying? That's my yeah. And then the next one is to build strong relationships. And let's talk about what that means. So one of the most important things that we can do sometimes that will really shape our entire work experience and career is to start to build strong support in our workplace, build a network from the very first day we begin a job. What that means is slowly over time, the people within your network will be able to help you move ahead and also give you support in accomplishing everyday tasks. I know, and I can only use my own self as an example here, whenever I have moved to a different real estate office, the first thing I do is make a connection with the administrative help, because they have saved my butt so many times. Mm-hmm. When I was giving a class, needed copies made really fast, a copier jammed, or something was I was not able to do, and I called on them, and bam, they knew what to do, they knew who to call, they knew how to get my copies done, and they didn't have to do it. They could have said, I've got some calls to make, I can't come right now, but every time, I think because of the connection of making that, that relationship with them way ahead of time, even sending them thank you notes, because I really honor what the clerical help can do to help us look good. A good tip is to see everyone as someone who can build a work relationship with, and that, of course, includes administrative help, and of course, like I just said, in particular, administrative help. And then to focus on those relationships that you can build by being helpful and supportive, and of course creative, as you get the chances to work together. Most importantly, base the relationships on positive actions and not, of course, office gossip or complaints, because you're going to always find that in every work situation. Over time, the reputation and relationships you build will help you, and they certainly have for me. And you never know which of these people might be able to get you jobs in the future, recommendations, plus it makes your work environment just a lot more enjoyable.
And that brings us to the next one, your attitude at work. Speaking of enjoyable, you add so much to your own work experience when you can enjoy those around you. So having a good attitude at work, and attitude is a matter of perspective. Think about it. If you think your work sucks, it's going to suck. If you change your perspective and you think that maybe there's a few things that could be changed, it could be better, it kind of changes the whole attitude. Yes, it needs work. They have issues, whatever, right? So attitude is all a matter of perspective, and just changing your attitude can really make your experience at work better.
And what is that saying, don't sweat the small stuff and it's all small?
I think that's a book.
That's a book, huh? Oh, that's right. And then what happens when your emotions hold you prisoner? It's important to vent at times and to both acknowledge and discuss your feelings, but preferably to a friend or coach or therapist. But if your days are filled with blame and venting at your workplace, this is going to affect your emotional IQ. You're not only setting yourself up for more dissatisfaction, but people react to who they see, not who you really might be. So be careful about venting your dissatisfaction with any and everybody in your workplace.
And then the next one is beware of the blame game. You know the blame game, when you point the finger at everyone and everything except yourself, blaming the world for your misfortunes. Oh my gosh. This is simply spinning your wheels. As I've mentioned before, when you get caught up in emotions and useless behaviors, you lose precious time and perspective that could be helping you to create a more enjoyable experience for yourself in this job and in future jobs. So if it was something that you had something to do with, take responsibility for it. Now it's important though, important to vent at times, and both to acknowledge and discuss your feelings. Oh, whoops, what happened here? To create more, okay.
Get off?
So the next one is, in the workplace, actions speak louder than words. Prove your worth by not being right all the time, but by being someone who helps things get done and problem solved. Down the road, people will see you and know what you're doing, and you don't have to be right every time.
Yeah,
every case to be extremely effective.
Being right isn't always the end all, is it?
No. It's not always important to be right, especially, I mean, in most things. I think it's more important to, like in work, to get it done, however you get it done with the group, to get the task done, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, people kind of, it's a turnoff when someone, I know in my life, that someone is bound and determined. I told you so. Didn't I say that? I knew I was right. Who cares? You know, it really is a bore. So it's about, okay, I was right, but now let's get to the collaboration of making this thing happen, whatever it is. And then Suzanne, seeing the possibility, right?
Right. When we get out of our heads, when we get our heads out of seeing the anger and the hurt and all that's missing in our work lives, we open up to seeing what might turn into a real opportunity. Possibility is all around us. We just have to learn how to look for it. And I always say, half glass full, baby. There's always something good. Got to find the good things. Yep.
So let's talk about the dimensions of emotional intelligence. So based on the work of Yale psychologist Peter Salovey, Emotional intelligence is made up of the following. He says, number one, knowing one's emotions. So again, self-awareness, or the ability to recognize feelings as they happen, is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. Being aware of our moods, our thoughts, and feelings about our moods is necessary to manage emotions. So self-awareness.
And the next one is actually managing your emotions. Managing our feelings so they lead to appropriate behavior is a critical ability that builds on self-awareness.
Then the next one is enthusiasm and persistence, motivating oneself with enthusiasm and persistence in the face of anxiety, fear, and setbacks is what set achievers apart from those who are not, from non-achievers. So believing that you possess the will and the way to master events is a critical predictor of success in school and in life.
And then, like we've said several times now, is being able to recognize emotion in others. That empathy builds on self-awareness and applies it to others. It's a fundamental skill that's essential to be successful in interpersonal interactions.
And then the next one that he talks about is handling relationships. The art of relationships is huge. It's measured by how well we can manage the emotions of others and how well we are able to recognize and respond to those emotions with appropriate behavior. You see, most of our emotional well-being is so intertwined with also with our children and grandchildren, which is part of relationships. So what we wanted to do tonight was to include a section on understanding and supporting our children's emotional intelligence.
So having an understanding of a child's emotional intelligence is useful for parents or grandparents or whoever in trying to maintain a perspective on what's important in raising their children. Of course, our genes provide us with dispositions and tendencies towards personality characteristics, but our experience also shapes us throughout our lifetime. And as we know, in early childhood years, children develop a core personality and a sense of themselves. They develop a view of the social and physical world around them and their abilities to navigate the currents that carry them along. Motivation to succeed becomes internalized, and children develop empathy for others and a capacity to respond to the emotional ups and downs of others.
Now, True is only 2.5, and we're already seeing signs of her showing empathy. If she steps on your toe, she'll want to get down and kiss your toe. I'm like, you don't have to kiss her toe, that's okay.
Oh, how cute.
Or if we have 2 little Yorkies, so, you know, she wants to baby them. But if her little mood swings, you know, which they say terrible twos, temper tantrums, in that, and she does have a bit of that as well. But I find her seeing, I'm sorry, or having empathy. And I believe, you know, especially after doing this class, it's the beginning of her developing her emotional IQ. But how can we help our children with their emotional intelligence? Well, we as parents and grandparents can try as we will by modeling our own emotional intelligence, which is why it's important that we develop our own emotional intelligence and cultivate it and sustain it and use it with our children, because that's the best way we can optimize their emotional IQ. It's in our behavior and our interactions with our children. So some ways that we can do that are helping children develop an optimistic view of life, and then providing boundaries and limits and direction so that children can become responsible members of our community. And then supporting the development of confidence, and persistence necessary to succeed at tasks by gently coaching and mentoring and providing challenges and opportunities. And I like this part. For manageable risks. This is usually the most effective strategy for helping children. And, you know, we have to watch out about ignoring their feelings as something for them to get over. It's so easy to do because the children seem to be very emotional a lot of the time. But it's so easy just to say, don't worry about it, you'll get over it. No, I'm not, you know, stop that. But from what this professor says is, and this doctor says, is the best way to help develop their emotional IQ is to be supportive, is to have a positive emotional response to our children's acting out. Listen to them, be aware of them, pay attention to them, to help them to succeed.
So obviously, what we're saying, emotional intelligence grows out of conversations that we have and one-on-one time with children. It also grows out of engaging them in our lives and allowing them to participate in family decisions. So now we're going to go over 3 basic ways that you can help your child or children that you know, grandchildren, to be more emotionally intelligent, because emotional intelligence can change. Unlike our IQs, which stay consistent throughout our lives, we can shift our emotional intelligence, which is good news. So you can coach him or her, when they're stressed. The first step to reducing stress is recognizing what stress feels like. So sometimes kids don't realize what emotion they're feeling, right? So you can share with them how your body feels when you're under stress with your child or your teen, because I think teenagers don't know it either. You could ask, yeah, I know when Michaela was here, I saw her stressed out so many times, but I don't think she recognized what was going on with her. You could ask them questions like, how does your body feel when you're stressed? Are your muscles or your stomach tight? Are your hands clenched? Are you breathing shallow? Teach your child to be aware of their physical responses to stress. And then that can help them regulate tension when it occurs, because the first step is going to be for them, their little tiny bodies or teenage bodies, to recognize what stress feels like.
Didn't you say
them that?
Didn't you have an example too of your grandson?
Oh, I had an example of my little grandson. When he comes over and he gets frustrated, he gets stressed out, he stands there and I can see his entire body tense up and his little fists get all tight. He actually, his face gets red, his mouth gets tensed up. And I never really thought about it before, but I'm realizing he's stressed out. You know, he's stressed out probably mostly because he wasn't getting to do something he wanted to do or whatever, or something was stressing him out. Like I saw the other day, he was here and Piper was jumping on him. He was like, I was like, oh my God, Piper's stressing him out.
Yeah, I've heard that sound before coming from True. And help your child identify their stress response. So everyone reacts differently to stress. If your child tends to be like, become angry or maybe agitated under stress, which is my experience with my granddaughter, he or she will respond best to stress relief activities that quiet them down. Now, if they tend to become depressed or withdrawn, then they will respond best to stress relief activities that are stimulating. So that's if they're depressed or withdrawn. If they tend to maybe freeze up or speed up in some ways while slowing down in others, then they'll need some stress release activities like maybe giving their pet affection and attention that provides like both comfort and stimulation to another being. Yeah.
And I can relate to that too, because I watched Michaela, who is my 15-year-old step-granddaughter, when she was living with us last year, and when she would get stressed, she would do the exact opposite. You're right. She would be depressed and withdrawn. And it's funny because I naturally would stimulate her. I'd be like, come on, let's go. Like I knew, I must have naturally known what to do. Now I'm reading this, realizing I did the right thing. Yeah. So do the opposite of whatever they're feeling. If they're stressed out.
That maternal instinct, instinct guided you through.
Yep. So the best way to reduce stress quickly is by engaging one or more of your senses. We've talked about this before. That's really living in the now. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Each person responds differently to sensory input. So you'll need to find the things that are soothing or energizing for you or for your child. For example, if your child is a visual person, you can relieve stress by surrounding them with uplifting images.
I love that.
If they respond more to sound, maybe a favorite piece of nice, calming music, a wind chime, a water fountain might reduce their stress levels.
I love the wind chime idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to find out you have to find out what sensory input works best for them, and it may not be the same one that works best for you. You know.
I have one a wind chime and maybe a waterfall on the other side.
Yeah.
Because it's about both of our emotional IQs, right?
There you go. Right. You have to have one for each person you're trying to satisfy.
Well, that's our presentation for tonight on emotional intelligence. Boy, we sincerely hope that tonight's class will help you understand more about the subject of emotional intelligence and really how it can affect you personally, your home, and your business life. And lastly, we really hope that you were able to pick up some processes on how you might improve your own emotional intelligence.
Any questions, comments, ahas? Anybody?
No, Yvette says makes sense.
Makes sense.
And Lori's here.
I think she does. Yeah, I think for me, one of my ahas was in going through this again was, especially with the children, that each that depending on what their state was, like if they're a hyper one, you need to calm them down. If they're a calm one, you need to stimulate them. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an aha for me.
And you know what was an aha for me was, we have a tendency to not give these emotional responses from children, especially the younger they are, our attention, our importance, our importance. And so for me, it's helping me, since my granddaughter lives with me, to be able to maybe communicate with her, because she does listen. And 2.5 years old, you wouldn't think so, but I can see now that I could say things to her like, "Are you okay? You feel stressed out? I'll look at your hand. Your fists are clenched," and maybe even not pet her, but rub her forehead, or or have her pet Zahari, but give it the attention, because I think so often I see, especially young mothers, I see them ignoring. And I did it too as a young mother. There's so much on our mind, and there's so much that we're going through. And it's like, be quiet, don't do that. That's bad. You're not, and it's not bad. It is a response to something that they are acting out. And this is a really great opportunity for me to use what I'm teaching right now. So that I appreciate the opportunity to know this and to teach this.
So, and then again, as always, we'll have a workbook exercise for you and an energy note up on the Facebook page and also emailed to you.
And I hope you guys will re-listen to this this audio, or listen to the first time if you missed the meeting. But just know that you have some backup material too that we are supplying for you. And I just want to say congratulations again on taking the 8th step. We know this is a long series of classes, and you guys that are hanging in there, what for you? We're giving it all to you. So congratulations on taking the 8th step and mastering your energy.
It's actually the 9th step, Wanda.
Oh my God. 9, 10, we'll have 3 more steps. So as you embark on next week, we collectively want to set this intention for the whole group, including ourselves, for each of us to have an amazing week, and to use these processes as we need them. I want to thank you for being here and for your participation. We both want to say thank you for being here and for your participation. We'll see you next Thursday, 6 p.m., which will be our 10th topic, right, Suzanne?
Yep, it'll be our 10th topic.
Understanding and managing your emotional ladder. And if you don't know what this is, come to this meeting. Come to this gathering. This is so powerful.
The key.
This is
kind of.
Huh?
It's the key.
It is the key. It's the key. So often I hear people say that they're depressed and they don't know how to get out of it, or they're worried and they don't know where they are in the emotional ladder, and they don't even know how to what to do with their thoughts in order to move from that. They don't even understand the lower ranges of emotion and how to move to the mid ranges so that you can move to a place that you can receive emotional relief. And that's so powerful, emotional relief, because life is in session. Things are going to happen. That's just life. But we don't have to fall into the depths of depression or being hopeless and stay there. Even if we fall there, this class is going to teach us what to do, processes to move from one emotion to the other. And also, I've taught this before, and I know how powerful this is when I learned it. It's going to teach you what emotion is higher than the next emotion. You wouldn't think that anger is a higher emotion than depression, but it is. So come and learn all about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good class. It's going to be based on, I know that somebody here has read this book, Ask and It Is Given by Darian Esther Hicks. So it's going to be based on the emotional scale in that book. So it's going to be great stuff. So let's end our session tonight with an affirmation. So if you guys want to, I know nobody has their microphone on. You guys can say it to yourself, and Wanda and I will say it. On the count of three, we'll say this affirmation. So 1, 2, 3. I can choose to let it define me, confine me, refine me, outshine me. Or I can choose to move on and leave it and let it be behind me. Behind me. That didn't work too well, but you guys probably work better for you saying it by yourself. Yeah. So, I can choose to let it define me, confine me, refine me, outshine me, or I can choose to move on and leave it behind me. Good night, ladies. Have a fantastic week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.